and then you have to interview. So I would say that you should keep you should make a choice on which place you want to settle down once you come back, whether it's in Chennai or whether it's a city or a first tier, second tier. That decision you need to possibly make before you come. If you have a spouse who is
So thank you, sir, for the detailed explanation on Canadian lifestyle and Canadian fellowships and opportunities there. So, planning to come back to India, you do a couple of fellowships abroad or even three fellowships like in your case. Then, if you wish to come back to India, then when do you start the process of applying to a post in India, like be it a teaching post or a consultant in a private hospital? Do you start a year ahead, or how do you approach people in India? Most of the people and doctors in India, the senior ones especially, they do want us to see in person before taking us. So you are already stuck up in a country. So how do you apply and how do you coordinate to have a job when you come back to India?
Yeah, I personally think at least in the setup here, you would need to come back. I mean, you may be applying, talking to people from Canada, which I was doing in my situation, but most people would not take you seriously because they personally think that you may not be, they wouldn't be sure if you're coming back or not. They would be doubting it. So they usually prefer to keep their ends open, and they would want some sort of an assurance like you are coming down, and then they make the decision of employing you. But I actually it also depends on the institution, and I mean how things work. Like for the first time when I came back, when I joined back in Coimbatore after my fellowship in Canada, I actually had met Professor during one of his visits to Canada, and then we had a discussion. And then so that time it was a few months ahead, so that we already decided that I was moving down, and then I would be joining at a certain time, because some institutions do work in such a way that you may need to intimate them at least a few months in advance. So it actually depends on where you apply for. But such institutions are not many in India. So once apart from those institutions, I do believe that they want you to meet them in person, and then you have to interview. So I would say that you should keep you should make a choice on which place you want to settle down once you come back, whether it's in Chennai or whether it's a city or a first tier, second tier. That decision you need to possibly make before you come. If you have a spouse who is actually not really working there, then I would say a month or two in advance she can come down, and then she can start settling down, so that you don't come down together. And then if it's your own hometown, it's different. Like if you're born and brought up somewhere, you have a family there, it's different. But if you're going to a place where you don't have your family is not there, and it's reasonable that your spouse comes down and then settles down for a month or two, and then you sort of join. So that may be a reasonable transition, so that you both are not left without a pay at the same time. So at least one has earns reasonably in those transition months. But otherwise, for orthopedicians, I think you get much better opportunities when you come down, and then you start actually looking in person for jobs, because that way they also know that you have they are also assured that you're back, you're seriously looking for a job, and then you're not keeping it as a second option. And then they also would be interacting with you at the right. So I do think this is the approach that you should do. Come down and then start looking for jobs instead of being anxious from there.
Thank you, sir. So, your first step was entering into FNB. So, what do you suggest on how to prepare for FNB entrances for the immediate pass outs?
Yeah, I do think the most important thing is to, as we do for most of the competitive exams, go through, talk to the people who had cleared it the previous years, and then ask them what they actually studied from and what kind of questions do come. Because I'm not sure if the FNP papers are made public now. At that time, we it was never made public, so we never had an idea. But then we knew from what books usually they prepare. And then we sort of prepared from the same book. And at that time, since the exams were different for different specialties, so for spine it was mostly it was more like 60% spine and 40% general orthopedics. And then so I had an idea that you these are the books that you specialize from, or read from, and these are the chapters that they ask you more, and most of the times they are true. The person who guided me actually gave me a very good outlook on how the exam was going to be, and that helped. So talking to people who have cleared the exam the previous years makes a big difference, I do think.
So you had 2 years of FNB here, and then you did 2 years in US and then in Canada, but US scenario was quite different since you are planning to immigrate. So now if there is a scenario that you have completed your Indian fellowships and you just want some abroad experience, what do you suggest for younger people? Like they should opt for a longer fellowship, or should they go in for a short-term fellowship like 2 to 3 months? What do you suggest?
No, I do think it should be more shorter fellowships based on the opportunities that they have back here. So I would think most of the positions are actually open back home. Once you do a fellowship, I say you do 2 years of FNB, then you would have a good job opportunities. Look for job opportunities. You would get a good opportunity in the place once you actually look for the positions. I would say join the position and then keep looking for. You don't waste your time for looking for a fellowship abroad. But then always be on the lookout. The first 1 or 2 years of your practice, you may not be that busy. So always be on the lookout for short-term fellowships. Definitely that you have a lot of exposure, much more than even if you had spent 2 years in a center, you would have more exposure, even those 2-3 months. And then those 2-3 years, initial 2-3 years, you can afford to miss your practice for 2 months. I feel so. And then still, you won't have a lot to lose. And then that's how you should plan. You should start your job and then keep looking for the opportunities. And when they come, go for those. I would say 2 fellowships is a reasonable thing to do. Shoot 2 short-term fellowships, and then come back. After 2 years, I think unless maybe a short visit to some centers, for a week or so may matter, but not beyond that. You should keep working on your practice. That's a better approach.
Thank you. Satish, do you have any more questions?
I think we have covered a wide area, both US and Canada.
So thank you, sir. We have been drilling you with many questions for the past 1.5 hours. We hope your story inspires many young people. We are, of course, quite inspired by your journey. Thank you for sharing it with us. So from your answers and from my personal experience, so research matters a lot for getting these foreign fellowships. And like we discussed earlier, we don't have a proper research team or a research structure in India for the residents to come up with research. So in this background, we would like me and Satish would like to point out that we Orthopaedic Research Group are being run by younger people like us, and we are very keen on taking younger generation with us as we travel forward. We do have quite a good research setup with animal lab, biomechanical lab, and molecular biology lab. So people who are interested in research can mail us or visit our site, which is www.orthopaedicresearchgroup.com, and we do have some wonderful mentors like Dr. Vidya with us. So thank you for the opportunity, sir. We'll end the meeting with this.